because I was analysing, I kind of saw what was happening. The first 3 minutes, they had 3 centre clearances and they were walking it out the front. And I remember saying at the time, they haven't started well, not going well. How many goals they kick in that first quarter? They kick 8, I think.
Something like that, yep.
And so it's not a good start to have off the top. But again, I was sort of speaking to the boys about what West Coast were doing behind the footy, which was giving Sydney a loose man behind the footy. West Coast were trying to help defend. They started Jack Petruccelli, Luke Shuey, and Elliot Yeo behind the ball, which none of them are everyday backmen, especially Petruccelli and Shuey. I mean, Elliot Yeo has played there, but they were clearly trying to get some ball use going. But what happened was they couldn't get the ball.
No,
they had no dominance whatsoever in the middle of the ground. And then, it went downhill from them. There was little stages in the first half where we saw a little bit of life from West Coast, I thought. At one stage, they were down by maybe 30. They started poorly, but then they kicked a few goals to start the second, maybe. I thought, okay.
Jack kicked a goal, then Oscar kicked a goal. There was a bit of something. There was a bit of something about it. Hey, Jack Petruccelli never plays in the back line, but he was actually decent.
No, he was not. No, he wasn't decent, unfortunately for Jack.
Saw on the AFL, he was one of their best on. But I mean,
they gave her best players for that, did they?
Yeah.
So if we get more into an overview, we know how the game's gone, right? Mm-hmm. Not here to tell you how the game went, right? Lost by 171 points, a big loss. I've got some thoughts on how it happened or why it happened, because when I either talk smack about them or talk, analyze things, I still do have thoughts and feelings about the football club, and I've been thinking a lot since it happened, why? Because I reckon there would be a lot of people thinking the same thing. They've been bad all year this year, West Coast, lost by 100 points 3 other times, so it's not like that was an out of box performance.
No.
So the takes around that are saying, now Simo's got to get sacked and now this is going to happen. I still personally don't see it that way, that it was an out-of-the-box thing. I think it was just an extension of how bad they've been this year. That doesn't mean those things can't happen, that people don't lose jobs. You can't just continue to perform poorly and do that. But overall, I kind of think, well, nothing's really changed, has it? It's...
No. What's the difference between losing by 170 points to 100 points?
Yeah, it's just 70 points. But
yeah, but still, it's not. You're not
No. So, look, where I've landed on is I think that was a full exposure of how underdeveloped this list is.
Yes.
So, I don't think young players are getting the proper development at the footy club, and that's not just that's caused by a lot of things, right? That's caused by coaching, that helps develop players. It's caused by the waffle situation at the moment. I don't think that's set up correctly. It's caused by injuries and having to expose younger players to situations they don't get exposed to regularly. It's affected by the players themselves. You can have great leaders around, and there's great leaders there. I know what Luke Shuey does as a leader. I know what Shannon Hearn does as a leader. I know what Andrew Gaff does as a leader. These guys are good leaders, been leaders of the football club for a long time. But to be a good leader, you need good followers. That might sound ridiculous, but to be led, you need to be a follower. You need to go, right, that's how I'm going to be. I'm going to be like Luke Shuey.
They have to have the buy-in.
Never miss a recovery. Always first down on track. Never misses a kick in training. He can do all those things, but if no one's following and getting you up to speed, you could have, who's the greatest leader you can think of? If I'd say leadership, who do you think of? I say leadership, you say...
Oh, gee, that's a tough one.
I say leadership, pick any sport, you say...
LeBron James.
There you go. He's a good player. He's a leader.
Mm-hmm.
He has good followers around him, and when he's been at his best, he's had good buy-in.
Absolutely.
Dellavedova that year.
Yeah.
Just
Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving.
Just get around him. And so... I think sometimes that leadership's actually caused by great teammates and great followers. And right now, West Coast don't have that. Their players are not up to standard, and it's been caused by the football club, and that's across there. Lots of ruminations this week around who's going to lose their job, what's going to happen. Paul Fitzpatrick's come out and said that Adam Simpson won't be getting
back him in.
I think in the next week to 10 days. If they get a similar result against St Kilda, I don't say 170 points, but if they lose big against St Kilda and they're not competitive, which is what they were this week against Sydney, uncompetitive in any element of the game. right through from centre bounce to behind the footy, one-on-one as defenders, to ground balls around the ground, to as forwards. No one was competitive. There wasn't one player.
Did you see that thing that on the internet people were talking about, that one bounce where Hickey went up uncontested?
There was a minute to go in the last quarter. I think you're pretty much well and truly checked out, 165 points down. Like that's what I would read on that. That wasn't in the first minute.
Yeah,
but there was but Tom Hickey got the first 2 centre clearances of the game. That's what I'd be showing. Okay. So you distracted me. I was building up to a big point. Can't remember what I was saying.
No, you were saying that they've, in the next 10 days...
Thank you. In the next 10 days, there will be a change. Someone will get sacked, step down, retire, delist themselves, quit, any of those things. I think in the next 10 days, something will happen. You unfortunately, and this hasn't been my take for most of the year, right? We've spoken about this the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've been uber critical.
No.
I've been made to look like an absolute idiot by backing them in to make the top 8. That's the one thing that has happened. But I think my criticism has been quite minimal. There's been incidents that I get really fired up about, not sticking up for your teammates, all of that sort of stuff. But I just think they're going to have to change something, unfortunately. And what that means, it could be player, could be coach, could be administration. I don't think they'll be able to keep going on like, oh, we're just going to get better in the long term. Like that, they won't be able to survive the pressure that gets put on them externally. I don't know.
Well, but if they back in Simo, right, so it has to be a front office person that makes some sort of decision. Because if they can't back in Simo and then a week later sack him.
I reckon they can. It's definitely happened before. Happens in other sports all the time. That definitely could happen. The CEO stuff's been talked about. The fitness has been talked about. The players have been talked about. I just think someone or something will change.
Okay.
It is inevitable that you cannot. Members won't cop it. Fans won't cop it. Media won't cop it. The public won't. The footy community won't. You can't just be losing by hundreds of points and have a horrifically bad season as a footy club and not change anything. You will not be able to do that.
First time, I think I read something like first time in history that a team has lost percentage points for 12 games in a row.
I think to bring it back, it's the first time. Look, there were some bad performances over the weekend, right?
Absolutely.
Eagles v Sydney, all-time low.
All-time.
One that springs to mind is not pressing record on the episode with the
Nick
Hello Sport
Button.
boys. Yes, Nick, the producer, not pressing the button like he's meant to. Look, I think there'll be change. Horrifically bad day for the club, but it was kind of good to be there. It was.
Was it?
I mean, I mean, you can't come out with this, mate. You were wearing a Sydney scarf. You're wearing a Sydney. I'm telling you, it was kind of good to be there.
I was wearing a Sydney scarf, but I was vocally trying to get around the boys. I was doing everything I possibly could. What do you think about this talk about fans boycotting the first quarter?
Junk, right? Yeah, you've been doing that after halftime all year.
Oh, very good.
No, look, I saw that. I don't know what that. Well, that's a change. Things like that. People, I don't know. You can't just expect people to do the same thing, get the same results, and nothing. Like there will be change.
Okay.
Mark my words. Even though I don't have any inner workings or knowledge of what's going on in there, I'd have to say there's going to be change.